Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Paskatyade Sitarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Brahmadakacharya Asadhara Sadushi Shiman His Divine Grace Kalesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Haribo Shalkhavavas Abrani Bhaktam Shalkhavavas Shri Guru Shri Grantha Slava Zabrani Bhaktam Slava Zabrani Bhaktam Slava Shri Guru Shri Garangi. Got a little bit of Polish mixed up there. Oma Ganatamanandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Zitam Cha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Jagapate Shah Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Siddha Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad-gita as it is, chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action, Krishna Consciousness, text number 21. Vaya sparshesh vasaktatma. What's that? Is it 20? I think I gave, yesterday I gave 19. Okay. The prarishat priyam prapya. The prarishat priyam prapya. No dvijat prapya cha priyam. Stira buddhira samudo. Brahmavid brahmani stitaha. The prarishat priyam prapya. No dvijat prapya cha priyam. Stira buddhira samudo. Brahmavid brahmani sitaha. The prarishat priyam prapya. No dvijat prapya cha priyam. Stira buddhama samudo. Brahmavid brahmani sitaha. The prarishat priyam prapya. No dvijat prapya cha priyam. Stira buddhira samudo. Brahmavid brahmani sitaha. Na, never. Prarishat, rejoices. Priyam, the pleasant. Prapya, achieving. Na, does not. Udvijat, become agitated. Prapya, obtaining. Cha, also. Apriyam, the unpleasant. Stira buddhi, self-intelligent. Asamuda, unbewildered. Brahmavit, who knows the Supreme perfectly. Brahmani, in transcendence. Sitaha, situated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is really situated in transcendence. Please repeat. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. Purport. The symptoms of the self-realized person are given herein. The first symptom is that he is not illusioned by the false identification of the body with his true self. He knows perfectly well that he is not the body, not this body, but is a fragmental portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is therefore not joyful in achieving something, nor does he lament in losing anything which is related to his body. This steadiness of mind is called sthira buddhi, or self-intelligence. He is therefore never bewildered by mistaking the gross body for the soul, nor does he accept the body as permanent and disregard the existence of the soul. This knowledge elevates him to the station of knowing the complete science of the Absolute Truth, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. He thus knows his constitutional position perfectly well, without falsely trying to become one with the Supreme in all respects. This is called Brahman realization, or self-realization. Such steady consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. Maya sparsheva saktatma vindat yatmini yatsukam sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. No, actually. Prarishat priyam prapya nodvidat prapicha priyam stira buddhira samudo brahmavid brahmani sitaha. Person who neither rejoices upon attaining something pleasant, nor laments upon attaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. Namo Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Vristaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tenamane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shrivadi Paskatyade Siddharne. Bhagavad-gita is a progression, just like Karma Yoga progresses to Jnana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga progresses to Ashtanga Yoga. But Prabhupada doesn't really explain Bhagavad-gita exactly in that way. Every part of Bhagavad-gita, Prabhupada is explaining how behind it is Krishna consciousness. Like for instance, in this particular verse, the Prarishat priyam prapya no dvijat prapicha priyam stira buddhira samudo brahmavid brahmani sitaha. It's a similar verse to the chapter 18, verse number 54. Brahma bhuta prasanatma nishoshiti nakankshiti samak sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim lavate param. There's a preliminary consciousness before we get to Krishna consciousness. But we start with Krishna consciousness, and we purify ourselves through the process of pure devotional service to eventually come to Krishna consciousness. Just like a mango. You can have a ripe mango, and you can have a green mango. They're both mangoes, but one is sweeter than the other. Similarly, practicing Krishna consciousness, well, in the non-limited state, can sometimes give us, well, is a higher experience than material existence, just like we all know, of course, the 6 different qualities of pure devotional service. Is that right? I'm not going to call on anyone. What's the first quality of sadhana bhakti? Does anyone pass their Bhakti Shastri test here? We'll have to revoke your Bhakti Shastri. What's the first quality of sadhana bhakti? What's that? Yes, kleshagni, which means?
Freedom from suffering, distress.
Yeah, freedom from suffering. So under the conditioned life, like when we have this material body, which we're quite comfortable with, although it's not very comfortable, but it's our body, so we like it, whatever it is. Because we think it's us, or something like that. Anyhow, there are different types of miseries that go along with the body, like avidya, ignorance. Not knowing our spiritual nature, we accept this inferior nature as ourselves. Instead of enjoying unlimited transcendental bliss, we enjoy a lot of anxiety. All these relationships, and all this temporary misery and happiness in the material body, and the relationship with the body, with other things. It's problematic, to say the least. So getting rid of these misidentification with the body of avidya and then asmita, false ego, because we don't know who we are, we think ourselves to be something we're not. And then as soon as we think ourselves to be this, it comes along with all kinds of attachments and aversions. Generally, if you have a female body, you're more likely, in previous ages at least, to become attached to a man. And if you have a masculine body, you're more likely to become attached to a female. But in this age, you can become attached to anything that moves or doesn't move. Doesn't even have to move. Gradually, as the age goes on, people are attached to dogs, cats. They develop more intimate relationships with their dogs and cats than they do with their family members. I have nothing against dogs and cats, by the way. But they're probably more likely to have a better relationship between each other than with family members. But anyhow, they treat their dog and cat sometimes as a lover, and sometimes as one of a little child, one of the family. If you kick a cow, no one will complain. If you kick a dog, they'll arrest you. Throw the key away. Except in India, at least in Vrindavan. You're allowed to throw stones at the dogs. But if you did that in a city, in Delhi nowadays, they'd arrest you. Child abuse. And from there comes attachments and aversions. And then abhiniveshita, fear of, when we identify with this body, we have a very bad bargain. Because whether we like it or not, this body has a beginning and an end. And if you're really attached to something, you don't want the end. You're not looking forward to the end, because you don't know what comes next. People are in ignorance. They have no idea what's coming next. They come up with these stories about, except for the Krishna consciousness movement, they have no idea about what heaven's like. They have no idea what hell's like. They have no idea what Vaikuntha's like. They don't even know if Vaikuntha exists. What to speak of Krishna Loka. So it's fearful. Some man comes in dressed in black. You can't see his face. He grabs you by the arm, starts dragging you out. What's the first thing you ask him? Besides what time it is. No, you want to ask him, where am I going? Is that right? You like to know where you're going to go, where he's dragging you. So people don't know where they're going. They're afraid. Maybe they remember they have some story about the Yamadutas coming dragging people away. Like when Stalin was leaving his body, he kept on pointing. His daughter said that. He kept on pointing in great fear that these people are here, they're taking me. So what can anyone do? Invite the people who came for lunch. Well, before you take them away, maybe you'd like to stop and have some prasadam. You got a long journey ahead of you. You can't even see them, and they're gonna. You can't reason with them. There's nothing you can give them. So people are afraid of being evasive. Everyone's afraid of death, and anyone who says that they're not afraid of death, they're delusional. Except for a pure devotee and a complete fool, everyone's afraid of death. Because the complete fool doesn't care about where he's going, and the pure devotee, he knows where he's going. So they're both on the same level like that. They're not bothered by having. So, kleshagni, as our heart becomes purified, then as it becomes more apparent transcendental knowledge, then less fear is there, less anxiety, less attachments and aversions. Every person passing by, we're not thinking about what it would be like to live with them. There's less imagination. And then, what's the next one? The second part of Shubhada, the development of good qualities. What are the 5 good qualities one develops? At least you get extra credit because you got the first 2. One of them is it's all auspicious. It's auspicious for everyone. Everyone would like to be in bliss, isn't that right? You're walking down the street and someone poured a shower of nectar on you, you wouldn't complain. And it relieves one from all this. Well, it gives one a higher taste than any kind of sense gratification, especially on the higher levels of Shubhada. It's all auspicious, it gives one a higher taste, gives one all good qualities. And it's equally good for everyone. Well, I guess that's all auspicious. So those are some of the qualities of the mode of goodness, and it brings one to the mode of goodness. And then what is for Bhava Bhakti? What happens with what are the 2 qualities of Bhava Bhakti? It's rarely achieved. What's the Sanskrit for rarely achieved? Yeah, that's right. And what is the other one? It derives the conception of liberation. Makes liberation seem insignificant. So here in this particular verse, we're really working on the Brahma-bhuta platform, which is a higher platform of Nishtha. Is the platform of Nishtha. But Prabhupada always interprets it in terms of Krishna consciousness, not Brahman, not even Paramatma. He just explains it in terms of Krishna consciousness, because on Krishna consciousness, automatically one will not be elated when there is happiness, material happiness. In other words, even someone brings you a big chocolate pie, if you like chocolate pies, and then, gives you a 7-star hotel to eat it in. You're not elated because you know everything you do has to be done for Krishna in order to keep constantly in touch with Krishna. And the happiness of being in touch with Krishna makes everything else seem insignificant. But even one on the liberated platform is in Brahman, the happiness there is so much greater than any kind of material happiness that one is not attracted to it, because one is completely free from all anxiety and is actually experiencing some kind of spiritual happiness. I mean, if we woke up and we were going to live forever, wouldn't we feel good? feel pretty confident. You wouldn't worry about what was happening in the world. Not too much. You wouldn't be afraid of, meeting anyone, talking to anyone, doing anything, because you're eternal. You're better than Superman. Even kryptonite couldn't kill you. So that's a kind of happiness. But it's not the ultimate happiness. But Prabhupada doesn't. And the verses in the Bhagavad-gita, starting in chapter 5, when Arjuna asks which is better, either renouncing the results of one's work or working in Krishna consciousness, devotional service, or knowledge. So Krishna says work in devotion is better. Geya sinisya sannyasi, yo no dveshti nakangshiti, nidvandvo hi mahabaho, sukhambandha pranuchite. One who works in devotion is a pure soul. No, that's another verse. Personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work and devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work and devotional service is better than the renunciation of work. So the Sanskrit is sannyas, and the other is karma yoga. And Prabhupada always translated it as work and devotion. But actually karma yoga is not necessarily work and devotion. There's a flavor of devotion. For instance, if we look at the 6th chapter, which really the chapter before we get into real devotion, which is the middle 6 chapters. Therefore, Prabhupada defines there karma yoga as the renunciation, the culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in bhakti yoga. All of the yogas are but means to come to the point of bhakti in bhakti yoga. Yoga actually means bhakti yoga, and all of the yogas are progressions towards the destination of bhakti yoga. From the beginning of karma yoga to the end of bhakti yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma yoga without fruit results is the beginning of this path. When karma yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called jnana yoga. When jnana yoga increases meditation on the supersoul by different physical processes, and the mind is on him, it is called Astanga yoga. And when one surpasses the Astanga yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's called bhakti yoga, the culmination. In fact, Shri Bhakti yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze bhakti yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. And then the 10th chapter, Prabhupada says, when a person who knows that the goal of life but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he's acting in karma yoga. So at one point, Prabhupada writes, karma yoga is work and devotion. And here it says, when he's addicted to the fruits of activities, he's acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but takes pleasure in mental speculation to understand Krishna, he's acting in jnana yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, which is a complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. So, sometimes the scholars, they fault Prabhupada because everywhere he sees bhakti. But obviously if there was only bhakti in Bhagavad-gita, then it could be a very short book. Krishna could have just told Arjuna, chant Hare Krishna, be happy, go and fight. But it doesn't work like that. Because Krishna had to explain step by step what is the process of coming to bhakti, which is not always so apparent in other ages especially. Because there's an indirect path, which Bhagavad-gita explains, but Prabhupada doesn't really explain the indirect path because he's not interested in it. And in the indirect path, in the karma yoga, there's an element of bhakti yoga there. There's an element, especially the element of service, surrender is there. And Jnana yoga is an element of not just physically doing something, surrendering, doing what Krishna says. There's an element of engaging one's intelligence, one's mind. And then in the Ashtanga yogas, there's an idea of engaging one's mind, feelings, thinking, feeling, and willing. And in Bhakti yoga, one is engaging the soul, one's complete yoga. The soul is voluntarily surrendering to Krishna. So there's an element of bhakti in all of it. One is that following Krishna's directions, understanding Krishna, feeling for Krishna, and then surrendering to Krishna. So they're all there. There's some element of bhakti in all of them. And probably that's all he points out in Bhagavad-gita. That's all Bhagavad-gita. And on the other side, if we read the verses, we can see there's progression from karma yoga to jnana yoga to Ashtanga yoga. And then the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad-gita deal with bhakti yoga. But there's always some reference to the other yogas too, even in the middle 6 chapters, except in the 9th chapter, Bhagavad-gita, the end of it. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mamai vaishasi sat yuktaiva atmanam atparayana. So the 9th chapter specifically deals with pure devotional service. And then after that, we have the 10th chapter. Krishna is showing how everything here is actually worshipable because it's all his energies. He has so many. And then the 11th chapter shows that Krishna is actually controlling everything here, the universal form. The 12th chapter is the qualities one develops in pure devotional service. And then these last 6 chapters deal with the development of jnana yoga to fix one in bhakti yoga. The development of intelligence to help our determination to always think about Krishna and never forget him. And therefore the 14th chapter supposedly, at least Krishna makes a reference, is the best of all the chapters. How does that go? Param Brahma Pravakshami Jnanam Jnanam Uttama Ejgatva Muniya Sarve Param Siddhi Mito Gata. Now I'm going to explain to you knowledge which I haven't explained before, which is the best of all knowledge. So the best of all knowledge is not the best of all. Well, the best of all knowledge is best of all knowledge for us because when one is entangled in the modes of material nature, it's good to figure out how to get out of them, to recognize them, that these are the modes of material nature. In other words, just like in Bhagavad-gita at the beginning, where Krishna says the body is changing, but the soul is not changing, you can defeat any philosopher by just that knowledge. Everyone's simple knowledge, your body's changing, but you're not changing. It's the most obvious thing that exists. Of course, we don't accept it because we're under illusion so easily. We understand, we're here because we understand it's real, that I'm eternal, but as far as our day-to-day experience, if there is a Bhagavad-gita here and a big chocolate cake here, we had to choose. Either spend 15 minutes reading the Bhagavad-gita or eating the chocolate cake. We might choose the chocolate cake. Because it's more interesting to us. because it's offered that it's all right. So we're identified with this body, and we act a lot of times in relation to the body and the mind, although we know it's not real, and therefore we lament more than other people do. We have some conscience when we deviate. We think, well, I'm a rascal, therefore I'm deviating. Other people think I'm a rascal, but I'm a good deviator. This is fantastic. No one wants to listen to the authority anyhow. So, therefore, the fact that our body's changing, but we're not changing, is just, that's a foundational principle. Similarly, the three modes of material nature are within our grasp, within our ability to perceive and experience. Well, when Krishna talks about, put your mind upon me, it's very difficult for us to do that, because we're not in control of our mind sufficiently to put it on Krishna for any significant period of time. And therefore it doesn't seem so obvious why we should go through that whole problem. Why should we put our mind on Krishna? Because we don't experience so much of the bliss that happens when one actually concentrates the mind on Krishna. But the three modes is something within our immediate experience. We know what it's like to be tired and sleepy, maybe too much. We know that at night, the most beautiful thing in our lives is the bed. We become helplessly drawn to it, as it's our best friend. When we wake up in the morning, our biggest attachment is our body. Our body and our mind seems glued to the bed. We can't give it up. So that's called the mode of ignorance. And then, of course, the mode of passion, we're always looking around for something enjoyable, something comfortable, something enjoyable, something enlivening, something to fill our consciousness with happiness, material, some kind of happiness, whatever we may call it. And the mode of goodness, we struggle sometimes to wash our hands before we have to eat. After all, we have to get up. We have to leave our prasadam, which we're quite attached to, and go all the way to some sink and wash our hands and leave our prasadam behind, unprotected, so far away. It's too much separation. We can't do it. Besides that, my hands look clean. I washed them yesterday. They look perfectly all right. So the mode of goodness is difficult for us in the modes of ignorance and passion. To see everyone equally minded, our worst enemy and our friends, etc. This is too much, too theoretical. This person deserves to be hated. It's part of my dharma to hate them. I don't like people who don't like me. It's just normal. Of course, then we have to think, well, actually I'm not the body, but anyhow I'm attached to this body. It's my friend. I don't like people who don't like my friend, my body. It's my best friend. Texts me in at night, wakes me up in the morning, digests my food, does so many nice things for me. Gives me a feeling that I'm important, I'm good. I can't reject it so easily. Anyhow, so the three modes of material nature are within our experience. How nice it is when you go on book distribution and Krishna sees that you want to distribute a book and he sends someone, how good do you feel when they take the book? Especially when they give you a nice donation. It's the cherry on the top of the pie. But still, just distributing a book, it feels good. It feels that we're actually doing something important. We're actually doing something eternally important. So that's the mode of goodness, or it could be even transcendental, depending on our consciousness. So these modes we're experiencing all the time. Therefore, the 14th chapter is very important, because it's not just theoretical, it's really, we can identify with it. While the other chapters may be a little bit more difficult, because it's, to some extent, it's beyond our experience, depending upon how advanced we are in Krishna consciousness. In any case, Prabhupada just keeps on repeating, Krishna is God. The aim of life is to focus one's attention and give one's love to Krishna. And that's what goes on throughout the Bhagavad-gita, Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita. Some people don't like that because they're more identified as Buddhists with the impersonal Brahman or something like that. They don't like to constantly hear that there's a God and it's not us. That's the worst thing. They don't mind if there's a God, but they'd like to hear it's them, or the unborn within them, whatever the nonsense they come up with. So I'll stop there. Any questions or comments? After all, without Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita, imagine reading it and you get up to the 5th chapter and you hear you're supposed to meditate on Brahman. You got to give up enjoyable things and things that are not enjoyable. You have to realize constantly that you're Brahman, and then you have to become self-intelligent, whatever. And all you get is meditating on a light. It's really surprising anyone can get through the Bhagavad-gita and take it seriously, except for Prabhupada's. It's seriously enough to apply it within their lives. Otherwise, if they only read up to the 5th chapter or the 6th chapter, they'd have to leave home and go to the Himalayas somewhere and meditate, because that's what it says. But if they read Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita, right away they know they should be chanting Hare Krišna. And that the goal is to reach Krishna. And therefore it's not so boring. You got to sit there in meditation. One time Prabhupada was told the devotees in the Gurukul, in the Vrindavan temple, they should put aside a room in the Gurukul and put a deer skin on it and a soft cloth. Put a kusha grass and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth, and then have people come and sit on it and meditate. Follow the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, it never happened because no one would ever do it. Could you imagine? Come to the Hare Krishna temple. Sorry, there's no prasadam. There's no dancing. There's nothing. There's no flow. We're just going to put you in a room and put some kusha grass on it and cover it with a deer skin, soft cloth. And you got to have to sit there for 3 hours and meditate. It wouldn't be a very large Sunday crowd. See everyone sit. Prabhupada said he went to the Ganges all the time. He sees a yogi sitting there doing pranayama. They're doing some kind of pranayama. Any questions or comments? Jai. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
fixed this one.
Oh, good. Yeah, good.
Next project. That's simple. You just have to find the right screw driver.
Then you go for it.
Yeah, he has everything. I just have to catch him at the right time.
Anyhow, there's no big rush. You got your thing? Couldn't open it. You want to put it? If anyone likes some avocado, come and eat. If anyone is hungry, let them come and eat.
If there's something I understood from the class is that we should get this guy.
Yeah.
Looks like chocolate cake.
What's the editor? What's that?
We'll try to get
si ti?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Is that exactly the perfect idea?
Yeah. For Krishna is best. I like. Prima dopo devo samo Ja, ne, sem tako, ja. Ja, sej. Sam toliko, da vem, če. Opa. V Zdaj pa nesreča, 5 mrtvih, prt, Slovenske Bistrici.
Jaz sem šel v Evropa, veš, jaz sem šel na Mori, polte, tam je malo drgo. Jaz sem bil 157.
Ja, sem pravil, ja, se je treba iti tam, zato ko oni pravijo, da treba iti tam. Znaš, pa grem kaj sutra na Omblas.
Daj pa greš jutri.
Ja, tako je med Mangalo že.
Navadi Čander gre tudi, ja, sem ne kdaj gre.
Res?
Ja, oni so rekli četrtek, da grem Dajalu, navadi pa kaj že, Baktavaca.
Ne veš, kdaj.
Ja, bom še zdaj ga pol kontaktiraš.
A to ne delo, kaj je delo, ko nekaj?
Ja, najbolj. A grem pa kar zdajle. Imam 200 piču po avtocest, sem hiter tam.
Težka noga pravaš, ne, danes je bilo 5 mrtvih pri Slovenske Bistrici, zaradi nepregledane hitrosti. To se že dolgo ni zgodilo v Sloveniji. Preveč turistov je.